Hey, what's up everyone? Today I prepared a video on Pinterest technical interview for you guys. A technical recruiter from Pinterest approached to me around September 2020 for a new software position in Toronto. Once I had a quick chat with the recruiter, I got an invitation for the first technical phone interview round. The invitation email looks something like this. It has a date and time for your interview. It also tells you who you will be speaking with, so you can go to LinkedIn and find more information about the person. And it gives you the link to the CoderPad. This is where you will be coding during the interview. Pretty typical. All right, ready for the question? Here we go. The interview question was, given an array of integers, find the kth biggest pair sum. Now pause the video and try it yourself. Give up to 45 minutes to complete the question. In this video, I'll explain both the brute force and optimal solutions. For the brute force approach, we need to find all possible pairs within the array and calculate their sum. Then, store them in an array or list, then sort it to get the kth biggest sum. Let's try to apply this logic on this example. I'm going to start from index 0. These are all the pairs, and corresponding sums will be 3, 4, and 6. I did the same thing on the first index. Be these two, so it will be 5 and 7. And the last pair will be 8. And I just sort the array. It will be 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3. Since I'm looking for the third biggest pair sum, the answer will be 6. Let's try to implement the brute force approach. For the sake of this example, we're just going to assume the given argument is always valid. So we iterate through the array and find all possible pairs, then calculate their sum and add to the collection. So this integer sums. Okay, we declare an array list and we iterate through the array. It should be a nested for loop to find the partner. Declare this as j, and I want this to start from I plus 1. And we calculate the sum. It'll be array at I plus array at j. And just add to the list we declared earlier. Then simply we just sort this in reverse order. So by default, it tries to sort things in ascending order, but we want this to be in descending order. Just returned sums get k minus 1. This is pretty much it. Let's look at how we can improve the brute force approach. After playing with more examples, I realized that we can improve the time complexity by first sorting the array and working with best pairs per index rather than looking at all possible pairs within the array. What do I mean by the best pair? A best pair is the pair that gives the biggest sum starting at a particular index. Let's use the example to find the best pairs for each index. It would make much more sense. So first, I'm going to sort the array. 5, 5, 4, 2. So starting at index 0, the best partner that gives the biggest sum will be the element right next to it. So these two will be the best pair. Starting at index 1, 4 will be the best partner to give the biggest sum. So these two will be the partner. And starting at index 2, 2 will be the best partner to give the biggest sum, or the only one, because it's the second last element. So this is another best pair. So we have 0, 1, 1, 2, and 2 and 3. Then I put all these pairs in the priority queue and pull the biggest pair k times to get the kth biggest pair sum. And here, whenever we pull a pair out of the queue, we need to make sure to add the next best pair for the retrieved index. The queue guarantees to provide the next biggest pair because the queue contains the best pair per index at every iteration. So let's continue with this example. So I'll put all of these in the priority queue. So this has sum equals to 10, this has sum equals to 9, this has sum equals to 6, right? On the first iteration, we'll be pulling out the first pair, right? So once we pull this one out, starting at index 0, the next best pair would be 5 and 4. So we put that in the queue. And other pairs remain the same. Now we have two pairs that have the biggest sum. It doesn't matter which one we pull out. I'm just going to choose the top one. So it'll be 0 and 2. So starting at index 0, the next best pair would be 5 and 2. So I'll put 0 and 3. Which is 7, 1 and 2 is 9, and 2 and 3 stays at 6. On the next iteration, this would be the biggest, this would be the pair that has the biggest sum. So we'll be pulling out 1 and 2. And we're done because we pulled the biggest pair 3 times. And the question is looking for the kth biggest pair sum. Let's try to implement this in code. All right, first we gotta sort the array in descending order. So we're gonna use the existing library for that. Okay, that's good. And we will initialize the priority queue and define how to compare two pairs of indexes. So priority queue, yeah, so it will be integer array. And then given two pair, first we need to find the sum. Similar for sum 2, you'll be just using the second pair. That one need to do is use the integer compare method, give both sum. The order matters here, so make sure you don't switch it around. And we're passing -1 because by default it tried to sort it in ascending order, but we wanted a descending order. Okay. Then initialized first list of best pairs we discussed about before. Okay. And it will be 4. Okay. We'll be using a for loop for that. So go from I to array length -1. Here we can even do like k, minimum of k or the length, because if the k is smaller than the length, then we don't even need to look at all the best pairs. We just need to look at up to k pairs. Okay. And I+1 here, it would make sense. So starting from index I, the best initial partner will be the element right next to it. That's why it's I+1. Then we iterate k times to get the kth biggest pair sum. So we initialize the count as 1, and we use the while loop to iterate it k times and make sure the queue is not empty. Pull the pair here. Oops, should be like this. Okay, and then check if there's a next best pair for this retrieved pair. Okay, if the second index reaches the end of the array, it means there is no more best pair for this index. Okay, so we do that by checking pair 1 plus 1 is less than the length. Actually -1, like this. Then we add the next best pair in the queue. This one, Next pair will be from the second index, will be just plus 1 of that. All right, and then at last, we just increment the count. Oops. All right, once we get out of the loop, we just check whether the queue is empty or not, because we need to do one final poll to get the kth biggest sum. Otherwise, we return illegal argument exception because k is invalid in this case. So we do the last poll and return the sum plus array k smallest. All right, hope this makes sense. So first we sort the array in descending order. We initialize the priority queue and define how to compare between two pairs of indexes. And we initialize the first list of best pairs. So here the best pairs are starting a particular index. It's going to be the element right next to it because that's the second biggest number starting from the particular index. Then we iterate, we pull the biggest pair, the current biggest pair, k times. And every time we pull a pair, we need to add the next best pair into the queue. And at last, on the kth pull from the queue, we'll get the kth biggest pair. Sorry, this should be kth biggest pair. And then we return the sum.